Welcome to another episode of The Call Sheet. I'm Gabrielle Simone, and today on The Call Sheet, we have the one and only Jonna Naegele.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Thanks for
you,
having me.
thank you so much for allowing us to be in your studio.
Absolutely.
So you are one of the premier acting coaches, not just here in Atlanta, but in several cities. Even your reaches to South Africa, which was so amazing. I saw some clips online of you doing some techniques there. So with acting in your coaching, you have a specific training that you do.
Yes.
Will you please explain that specific training?
Yeah, so I actually focus and specialize in the Chubbuck Technique. So
Okay.
I was accredited in 2017, although I was teaching the technique from the book The Power of the Actor, written by Jonna Chubbuck, since 2009.
Okay.
And that's when I actually started my acting journey as an actor and coach at the same time, was 2009.
Okay.
And so I fell in love with the book. Alliance Theater School of Performing Arts was where I was studying film and commercial, and my instructor actually introduced The Power of the Actor. And I said, man, I really got to figure out how I can train and get some, lessons in Hollywood, and start like really using this technique more for myself as an actress. And so I went out 2017. Ivana Chubbuck gracefully extended the opportunity for me to join her coaches accreditation program.
Okay.
I passed that, and so that's kind of like where it all began. And so the Chubbuck technique is a realism technique.
Okay.
And I teach that here in America. My territories is really the east side of America, but I do
Okay.
take my students every single year to Los Angeles to train directly with Ivana Chubbuck after they've gone through my extensive program here to prepare for her style of coaching.
Okay.
And she, in October of 2020, she extended my territory into the entire continent of Africa. So I'm actually the only coach that is accredited to teach the technique in all of Africa.
That is amazing.
And so, yeah, I've been able to teach in Ghana, and I've been able to teach online to groups of students for for NGOs, non-government organizations,
Okay.
over in Nigeria.
Okay.
And so I'm still working that angle. One of my dear friends, J.K. Osiri, who is the founder of Osiri University, I'm one of his founding professors for his university, just got married, and he's a prince
Wow.
in Nigeria. So he's a prince, he married a princess, and so after their full year, we're going to get back at it, and I'll be doing more overseas in Africa.
That's amazing. How has the response been overseas?
The technique really universally. It's a technique that if you are human and you're open to discovering just what we are all of our possibilities and what we have the power to really like dive deep, utilize to empower ourselves through. It's easy to teach anywhere, but you just it's the group of people that you're teaching. You have to
Okay.
definitely be set up to teach a very open group who has goals, who understands that it's not a technique for someone that's going to be a little bit more reserved, or really hobbyist actors either. Like, it's not a good technique for hobbyists. It's a great technique for very serious actors and actors who are career driven and who actually do want some sort of result with the efforts they put in their training. So, I just definitely would say it's been really great, the group of people overseas and even here in America that I've worked with utilizing the technique.
Yes. Okay. So when you said hobbyist, because I remember I purchased the book. It's actually still on my bookshelf.
Yeah.
And when I opened it up and started reading through it, it's very in depth.
Yeah.
So I love that you are coaching, through the technique, because when I started reading it, I felt immediately overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because as an amateur actor, it's a lot to go through without guidance.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So with your students that you teach, do you start with beginners, or do you only bring in, actors who have, already been in the industry for a while?
Yeah, I do. I do work with beginner actors. I work with individuals who are still kind of on the fence if they are very sure that they can really invest themselves completely in what it takes to be a professional actor. Only time will tell, and only they will make the choice whether or not it's a right fit for them. I've never turned an actor away and said you're not enough, or you don't have enough experience. The classes really aren't about the experience. So I've worked with students who have never done any acting before, who have actually gone on and now have successfully won awards for their acting, who are now, doing multiple things in the industry outside of just acting, but they started creating their own content, they started making their own short films and entering those into film festivals and have gone on to win awards. And I've worked with actors, and still do, that are already celebrity status, influencers, individuals that come to me from the referrals of a production that they're working on, that need to really go deep and dive into a certain character that the production already knows is going to be heavy content, award-winning caliber types of productions. So I'm referred many of those top profile or higher caliber with accolade actors from their representation or from production. So I work with
the whole
many.
whole
I
gambit.
work with many.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. This was a few years ago, just on YouTube, always searching things, and I saw your reaction to different crying scenes from features.
Yeah.
And I, at that time, I hadn't even had the pleasure of meeting you, and the way you went through each one and critiqued, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's such a great acting coach. So do you credit all of that to the book and the technique, or is that just years of practice and years of study?
Actually, what fascinates me most, and really what I find a lot of my time just educating myself on, is behavioral science. I'm huge into psychology. I actually have a degree in psychology. I'm 23 credits away from another degree in philosophy and film media. Even though I do this, I just love knowledge. I love educating myself. So I'm constantly learning. And I have a minor in anthropology. So it's like all of just the love of human nature, the love of how we behave, the love of traditions and interactions, communication skills, and body language. Like all of that is something that I've always been fascinated in. Even before being a full-time acting coach, that was always my focus in school. So I think a lot of it goes with being intuitive, my intuition, common sense, but also street sense. And, just putting myself in those positions. Like, I absolutely love life. I love the enjoyment of life and joy. And I love when other people find joy. And any way that I can be like a vessel or an advocate, I've always, since being a little girl, I've always wanted to put myself in place to help people find what brings them to their joy. Right. So I think just like with that love and that passion, this technique was just like, it was perfect for me. Like me reading the book, me learning it back at Alliance Theater, I was like, this is like perfect. I can make money coaching like as a profession while doing what I love, which is what I do anyway. It's helping other people. And a lot of times when I was acting and not coaching, before I became a coach and I was just acting, I found myself coaching, and I found myself being pulled aside by a director asking my thoughts on how these two characters, so I was already coaching.
Right, so you were already in it, so it just made sense to
and I enjoyed
make it a
doing
business.
it. I absolutely enjoyed doing it, and it's nothing like seeing your thoughts and your opinions work out, like creating and sculpting this little visual. So I absolutely enjoyed that. So.
I love it. So let's rewind a little bit. So did acting choose you, or did you choose acting? Like, how did you start to fall in love with it?
Well, to be honest, so my grandmother, who was, she's gone on and still with us every day and guides me through my days very strongly. But she was definitely a big reason for why I went into the direction of modeling. I actually
Okay.
started with modeling.
Okay.
She was suffering from cancer, and had different forms of cancer. And I ended up, back when years ago, I ended up taking care of her. So I was pretty much her caretaker. I grew up on a farm, 200-acre farm. My family had a construction company, and she was like the ship of it all. So when she
And
got
what city
sick,
was this? Where'd you go?
Lebanon, Tennessee.
Lebanon, Tennessee.
Lebanon,
Okay.
Tennessee.
Okay.
It's about probably 45 minutes from Nashville, but it's a very rural farm kind of small town. That's where I grew up. And so when she got sick, I just grew up around it. I grew up around the farm. I grew up around what she did every day. So I was like the one that the whole family relied on to like pick up the pieces and like, here, grandma, tell me what to go do. And I was able to do it.
Okay.
So one of our favorite things I would do as I would set up our morning when I was taking care of her was we would watch America's Next Top Model.
Oh,
And that's back when Tyra Banks and America's Next
fan.
Top Model was
Yes.
like in the prime, and we would wait on those episodes.
Yes.
Religiously.
Like CW era, like, yeah.
And so 2008, there was franchises. So each state from America's Next Top Model franchises had their own state. So Tennessee, and that's where I'm from,
Okay.
Tennessee's Top Model, there was a competition that year.
Okay.
And I had no training, I had no runway, but I had watched that stuff every single day. And my grandma was like, Lita Lou. That's my nickname. She called me Lita Lou. If you don't try out for that, they're having it down at Cookeville. It's a 30-minute drive. Go down to that county fair and try out for the first round, and that'll just make my day. I said, Grandma, I don't have no training. I don't meet any of the requirements. I wasn't 5'9". That was like one of the requirements. I'm 5'5", with my hair standing up. So I said, Grandmama, no. She said, put them wedges on and go down there and try. Just try for me. That's all. So I did. I made it to the top 10 round to go on to the big competition. They selected 55 out of the whole state of Tennessee. I ended up winning it. Wow. And by winning Tennessee's Top Model 2008, I won free acting classes. And that's the start of it. So it really wasn't until 2009 that I took advantage of those free acting classes and was like, this is definitely what I want to do.
So that was divine.
It was definitely divine. So I would say she definitely gets full credit for pushing me in that direction and me listening to her and then listening to everything after that and praying and knowing God was in that passenger seat every single day because I felt so out of place, like the underdog. And so I had already had a kid, and they were like, no children, but nobody checked my ID for my age and nobody checked my height. And I wore them wedges.
Yeah, okay.
And I won. So
I love that.
So yeah.
That's very inspiring. I want to switch gears a little bit. So my podcast, the audience that I'm really trying to target are the beginner actors, the ones that have a passion for it, may not know everything about the business, but what are 2 or 3 things that beginner actors need to know, like right away starting in the industry here in Atlanta specifically? Yeah,
well, I just say one, give yourself grace because this is definitely, it sounds very cliche at this point, but it definitely is a marathon. It is not something that's going to happen overnight. And I definitely recommend to beginner actors not to feel like they have to be overwhelmed with competing with everyone that's succeeding right now. That is not your competition. Your competition is who you were yesterday. And every day you wake up, you put all you can in to your own training. Again, giving yourself grace. You have to do a lot of self-care. You have to mentally take care of yourself as well. And get secure first with yourself as a vessel. And I'm saying this because if you don't show up to auditions or you don't show up to representation interviews and be confident within yourself, they're going to smell it before you even walk in the door. And that's going to be like the biggest discouraging, I think, punch in the gut to young actors or green actors that just don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So I definitely advise all beginner actors to know your why. you want to act.
Okay.
And if it is because you just want to be on television, if it's because, and sometimes this may be good fuel later. So I'm going to say this, you're trying to prove somebody wrong, that you can actually do it. That's going to be fuel later when you're stronger, but that shouldn't be your why in the beginning.
Right.
Because all you're going to do is you're going to run yourself ragged and probably lose some hair trying to prove that person wrong, and it's going to be nothing about your acting career and what you're trying to do for yourself.
Okay.
So you need to know your why. Why are you wanting to be a professional actor?
Yeah.
Or why are you wanting to get into acting? Because it does cost, like it's going to cost you money.
Yeah, I say that to my friends a lot. It's like, this is a rich kid sport.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's not, it really isn't, I don't want to say cheap. Cheap is such a gross word, but it's like, it's lucrative when you get to a point where you've earned it, but you have to invest in yourself. And it is risky. Like, there are risks. Everything's risky, though. Life is risky. So when you accept that it's risky, that you're not going to get a return on your investment immediately, and you accept that, just like investing in stocks, then I think there's going to be longevity. But again, the buildup and the molding that you're doing with yourself and the enjoyment that you're having along that process and that journey is going to make it worthwhile once you get those yeses.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Because I know that a lot of young actors, they go into it maybe for the fame aspect or, you know, like you said, like TV or the big screen. But it's such a big gap between starting and then actually seeing yourself there.
Right.
Yeah, so that's really good. So I want to talk more about your training classes. Do you offer year-round training, or is it weeks? How is it broken down?
Yeah, so we go through months. Like right now, we're in a good, solid, consistent monthly training.
Okay.
So my students have been, you know, they're expecting to get classes. They're going to see me every single week from August to November, the end of November. And if I can't, because I am still a working actress, if I can't be here, I've got 2 solid coaches of mine that come in and sub, and they're working actresses as well.
Okay.
And so they're always going to have a coach.
Okay.
Then we take a little bit of a break because it is the holiday time. So December, January, and February, it's like award season time.
Right.
So a lot of times I'm doing panels during that time, and I'm inviting my students to network. So it's kind of network season. We may do workshops here and there.
Okay.
In those off months, like I have something called Chubbuck Views, where we come in, we watch a film, we break it down, we apply the technique. There's games and or the game of quizzing, and prizes are won. I have food, popcorn. And we just come and I teach them in a workshop like that how to actually study at home. Sometimes if they can't be in class every single month, you know, funds or they're booked or whatever, they can learn how to actually break down movies and characters, and they can still do their homework at home and stay active. So I teach them that in those workshops. But then we pick back up for classes until we go to LA. June and July, I normally take my students either to LA, or we have other trips that we take that I'm expanding on, I'm excited about for future. And then we pick back up. So August, and that's the year.
It keeps rolling. Okay. So I know the industry kind of in general right now is kind of like in a lull. What are your like predictions of like where it's going? I know like the strike is over, and you know some things are being arranged differently now in the grand scheme of like the Hollywood scene. Where do you think it's trending as far as like the creativity?
Currently, right now, I actually see pickup. So, and that's just nationally. So, you know, I have a lot of connects. I work with a lot of producers and directors and casting directors in LA. So, and they're kind of my hub, and also in the Mid-Atlantic up in New York as well. So I'm always constantly asking them for updates.
Right.
I actually have a...
Hey everyone, I just wanted to pop in and say thank you so much for watching the call sheet. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and leave your comment. What's the best part of this episode that you like? Be sure to follow us on Fanbase, on Facebook and on Instagram at the Call Sheet Podcast. We'll be putting up some behind the scenes clips and telling you what's coming up next. If you have any questions around the acting industry here in Atlanta, feel free to email me at thecallsheetpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, back to the episode.
I actually have a mentor, Bruce Naheen, who I have to give full credit to. He's a huge icon in Hollywood. One of the founders of the Santa Clarita Producers Guild. He's a Producer Guild associate. And so he chimes in with me every Wednesday. We talk every single Wednesday. He checks in, hey kid, what's going, and I get filled in on what's going on. So staying up to date with the news is super important for my side. So I can say, as of right now, I see it picking up. Auditions are going out.
Okay.
My students are active. The networking, the events and stuff are picking up going into the fall seasons.
Okay, good.
So I see it being very fruitful this year.
Okay.
And again, like auditions are pretty nice. We've got new TV shows where there's a new soap opera that I'm really excited about. It's the very first based off a Black family soap opera called The Gates, and it's written by Michelle Valjean, who was the writer of Bold and Beautiful, General Hospital, Young and the Restless. But this is the very first in history soap opera based off a Black family.
Oh, I'm excited.
And so that's right now in rotation for auditioning. They're auditioning the leads and filling those spots in. I had the honor of auditioning for one of the roles, and so I was pretty excited about that, and just honored in itself, because I'm like, wow, after doing the research, it's going to be a really nice deal. It's going to be beautiful. But yeah, I see it being very
on the upswing.
Yeah,
okay,
very busy.
Okay, because talking amongst other actors and people in the industry, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's really slow. So I'm glad to hear that it's moving good.
Well, if I can say something about that, most of the time I will say, just in my experience working with actors of many different levels, I do career coachings. So a lot of times why it's slow has nothing to do with the productions that are out there or your representation. Why it's slow is your materials. It's you're not visible. And so the thing of it is actors really have to take seriously, if they want more auditions, and that is something new post-COVID, your package has to be fire. And what I mean by
break
that,
break down the package
what
for
I mean
us.
by that is you are now, casting directors do not see you if you don't have demo clips or reel. Demo clips are more preferred because your representation, or you even can self-submit a clip that is more appropriate for each individual breakdown that you're submitting to. If you don't have those demo clips, those who do, and it's just like more actors, because the industry is so competitive now, more actors than not have those demo clips. So now casting can go into their back office and filter. If you don't have a demo clip, you're not seen like immediately.
Oh, wow.
And you may not even be seen. I'm going to say not immediately, but you may not even be looked at, because what comes across on their end is a number. If you have 2 headshots, 2 photos only on your Actors Access, it's not enough. Because you may have a smiling, you may have a non-smiling, thinking that's your theatrical. But you've got to have some different variety of character looks. Not that you're dressing up and looking like a cop, but you want to suggest. You want to have the character come across in your essence, in your face. So who you're being photographed by has to be someone that's able to work those different characters out. Like, casting director needs to see that you can play this character by your headshot alone. And then they want to see, okay, let's see that demo clip. Let's see, do you have a slate shot? Maybe I can just click on your photo and click your slate shot and get a little essence in this 7-second slate of how you sound. Do you even sound like you could be appropriate for this role? Those things are like the foot in the door. That's what's going to get you the audition. Just because you submit and you think, I could play this, they don't see it. And they've got 1,500 other people that submitted with all the materials that proves they can play it, and you don't.
So you got to have that whole package.
You have to have your
just
package.
To even be
and
seen.
When your reps ask for it, that means they're trying to submit you for the roles that are being produced right now, and you don't have anything for them to submit when they ask you to get new headshots,
Mm-hmm.
if it costs $350, $250, whatever it is, whoever you go to shoot with,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure you go with someone professional. But you don't want to delay and be like, well, in 6 months I'll have it. In 8 months I'll have it, because guess what? Those
That's
auditions are going to
exactly.
keep rolling, and people who do have it are going to get those auditions. So you can't delay.
Right.
You know, you have to find a way to get it.
Right.
Figure it out. You know, do some Ubering, do some lifting. I've got
Right.
students who do it.
Right.
I'm not ashamed to say coaching is not my only vessel to make money.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
have probably 3-4 other jobs.
Good. However you got to get it. Yeah.
So, you know, it's not just going to be handed to you because you have one good look or even 2 good looks.
Right.
You got to give your representation a package to pitch. And now, even post-COVID too, I always do recommend having a team. So it's more than just an agent. Like, your agent's going to submit you.
Right.
But if you can find you a good, solid manager that has a good reputation, known
Okay.
for not being a pest, that can also pitch you in other ways, like making sure you're at certain networking events where they know that this director has 3 or 4 other films they're casting for, and can make sure that you're in the right place at the right time. So that way, when you post something about being at that event, you say, that was really a great movie, director Charles or whoever.
Right.
Really enjoyed being there. I look forward to your next upcoming projects. You can let your manager know, I was there, we connected, and then your manager's going to be able to, you know, pitch you. You know, when that production
Right.
comes through, the producers they may know who may be linked to that director. That's how that works.
Yeah. You have so many good insights. I think, you know, some people are not sure how to navigate all these different ways.
Yeah.
Some people just think it's a online submission or a self-tape and that's it. But the manager part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, where I always try to steer people away from blind submitting. So it's like, you also don't want to get locked in with a rep, an agent that doesn't have a good reputation. And just because that's the first one that bit, and here you are now locked in for a year because you just sent out to 100 people, and just the first one that was like, we'll take you on.
Yeah.
You're excited about it to say that you're repped. I always steer people away from doing that, because there's over 400 agencies here in the Southeast alone.
Wow.
And so
Okay.
it's like, if you're doing that, these reps, they have standards, and a lot of them don't. So it takes a lot to get to be a SAG affiliated agency.
Right.
And so a lot of times I always refer my students, if I am an industry referral for them, to the SAG affiliated agencies, because they're going to get top notch projects.
Right.
And so it's like, don't blind submit and just take the first one that bites, because you don't know what reputations they have or don't have. You know?
So what should actors look for when they're looking for an agent that is reputable? Like, what are some
Do their
things?
research.
Okay.
Do your research first on the agency. Go to people's, if they have their profiles up of the actors they represent, go to those actors' profiles and ask them in the DM, are you represented by them? Because anybody can put anything up.
That's
And
very
there's
true.
tons of scams. And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate that it's legal for anyone, and you know, until it becomes illegal and they do something that's scammy. But it's just a lot of scams out there, unfortunately, in
Right.
this industry. So you don't know until it's like, you know, why are they asking me to pay $650 for a comp card, telling me they have an audition for me for Louis Vuitton, and I signed up for acting? First off, you don't need a comp card for acting.
Right.
Acting is headshots. Comp card is modeling. So if anybody, that's a big red flag immediately. If they're like,
Right.
get these comp cards,
Right.
turn around and go have lunch.
Yeah.
Save
yeah.
that money.
I experienced that when I was a tteenager.
Yeah.
It was like a big open
It's
call,
a
and
lot. Expos
yeah,
and things
they were like
that.
$1,000, and we can get you on Disney Channel.
It's unfortunate
Yeah.
that those are still, and they just changed their name. They changed their business name, and they're still present. You know, I always try, especially with kids, I always make it open for my parents to contact me, and I will do the research. And if I don't know who this company is, I'll send it through to my people in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
and they will, send me a message back and say, tell them to go have lunch with their kids and steer clear.
Okay.
So I'm a huge advocate on that. I've had parents call me. Sometimes they're stuck in LA, they're crying because they were promised something and it wasn't. It wasn't what they were told.
Mm-hmm.
They done spent all this money and it was a scam. And I hate to hear that. It really does
Right.
hurt because now the kid's discouraged. They done been through all this trauma, and it's like, really, it's unfortunate how what people will do for money. And it's just they kind of feed off of naive, and it's unfortunate. When you don't know, so it's not their fault.
Right.
So I always, definitely try to encourage people to do their research, ask. Look on the SAG site as well. Like, everybody has access. You do not have to be a SAG member to inquire and ask questions. So if you're not familiar with a particular agency and they're saying one thing and you feel any kind of skepticism and don't have any proof of anything, just contact the SAG office and ask them what they know. Have you heard anything? Can you give me any detail about this? Like, yeah, we really don't. Even if they have to be legally in position to be like, yeah, we really don't know too much about them.
Right.
Red flag.
Right.
Just get with someone who you're confident with, like, has a reputation.
Right. So so actors jump straight from I'm ready to submit. What are the things that actors need in order to be repped by a great agent?
Yeah, so, and that's what I say, it's like, it's game time. Like, you've earned the right to be repped by someone who's ready to put you to work. So I always say, you got to be turnkey. So you work on,
I like that term.
You work on, being turnkey. Like, when you have all your boxes checked, that's when you're like, okay, now I can submit to a reputable agent and I'm going to get some sort of feedback. Maybe I'm not right now, and that may just simply be because you don't have a co-star, guest star. Some agencies require that. They need to see that you've been on set and that you have some sort of accolade behind you. I know Jay Purvis, she's a great friend of mine. Miss Joy, I've known her for over 10 years. You better have a guest star. And it's like, we still need to make sure you're not going to be one of already 3 that we have on our roster, because they also don't want a lot of individuals, because you're in competition within your own roster. She doesn't like that, and I highly respect it. So it's like, make sure you're turnkey. Have your actors access, your casting network, have everything filled out. Work on them special skills. It's so much more than opening your mouth and being able to deliver a script or a scene and devour a character and be great at devouring that character. You need to have some other special skills, like can you scuba dive? Can you even swim? Can you horseback ride? Do you play any sports? It doesn't matter if you used to cheer. If you can't show up to an audition and still do some cheer, take that off your resume.
Okay.
And get on Groupon and find some stuff to do. I have students that, newer students that start off with me that say, yeah, but I don't really do anything. It's like, go to Actors Access, look at all the skills that you can check in, go to Groupon, see what of those skills you can get started.
Right.
One of the biggest ones, like, a lot of actors want to do action. It's like, you need to know how to fight then.
Right.
And I'm not talking street fight. I'm talking Krav Maga. I'm talking learning, figuring out which one of the martial arts is going to be a good little weekly thing, 2 times a week thing you can stay consistent in for a couple months.
Right.
Because you want to be at least in an advanced level. You don't have to be experienced. You don't have to go all out into the mastery level, but you definitely don't want to be a beginner and put that on your resume, because they may expect you got an audition now for Yellowstone to be able to do some trailblazing with this horse. And you just been riding around a loop. So we're going to need to get to advanced level. And that's what I'm saying by pouring into you. You're the investment. You're the brand.
Right.
You want to be someone that other people want to pour into, and that's your reps. That's a production who's willing to pay you a couple $1,000s a week to be on set, which is really what you want.
Right.
So it's like, you have to invest in building yourself up to be bookable in that way.
Right.
And so even if you're starting out, I do say you do need to walk before you can run, but at the same time, like, in the process, before you are able to run, you got to get strong from the inside. Like, learn some new languages. Even at any age, I speak Italian, I speak Twi, which is Ghanaian,
Okay.
and I have accents that I do, but I'm still working on it. Next is patois.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do look forward to taking my students next year to Jamaica, and we're going to do like a cultural immersion acting boot camp there. And so that too, like anytime you travel, don't just travel for just the girls' trip. Like explore and
Right.
experience and learn while you're there too. Listen by ear. Pick up on cultures and traditions, not just for the fun of it, but everything you can use for your acting. Everything.
Because you never know what the role will call for.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I love that. Okay, so switching gears to more of your personal life, how do you balance it all?
I don't. There's no balance.
There's no balance?
There's no balance.
Oh,
I'm gonna tell you
goodness.
straight up. Like, I got 4 children.
Yes.
They're all in different schools. I wake up at 6 a.m. I take my son to high school, my daughter in middle school, my youngest son in elementary, and my daughter's fit to get her little tail in daycare. So it's every day is different because they have activities.
Right.
I have the responsibility as an acting coach. I have auditions that may pop up here and there. I'm also a casting associate, so I have producers and casting director friends who are always needing, and it's every week, and that's another reason why I have the insight on it being very fruitful, because
Right.
I help. I'm
Right,
a
you're
casting
in it,
associate, and so I help in that side. There is really no balance, and I don't need the balance. What's balanced is me.
Okay.
So from me being just like within myself, knowing that what gets done today, I'm going to get it done today. But I give myself grace that if certain things don't get done and they weren't like devastating to life, it's okay. I'll do it tomorrow.
I got to work on that.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot that we're doing, but there was a saying that's like, you can't, what is it? You can't, I have to think of it. It was like, well, you can't, when you asked for, you can't complain about a lot being on your plate when you asked God to fill you up or something like that, or it was some beautiful wordery. But I did ask for it.
Okay.
Bottom line is like, I asked to be busy. I asked for success, and I asked for my children to be able to see me as, an inspiration to them, that they can do everything and anything they set their mind to doing. And while I'm interested in a lot of different things, I don't have to choose just one. I don't have to choose just one love to focus on. I don't put all my eggs in a basket. I'm all over the damn place. It's like there's blackberry picking, there's eggs in baskets, there's chickens and everything. I mean, it's just, I love it all. And as long as everybody's happy around me, because I'm happy in doing what I'm doing, it's like there's no change in that. So I can't say that there's like a routine, that there is, there's definitely discipline, the discipline to keep giving myself grace,
Right.
and just focusing on joy. But life is meant to be explored and to have fun and to find joy and to grow and to ever change, forever change. And change is good.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I agree.
yeah, I just enjoy. Like, as long as you're enjoying, forget what people's perception of balance looks like. You're balanced within yourself because you're happy, and those around you will be happy.
I love that. Okay, lastly, just to finish us off, if you'll just give just a few words of inspiration to actors and creators who are either doing this or want to start doing it, just leave us with something.
I will say, like I said earlier, like, know your why, why you're wanting to get into it. And whatever that why may be, it's enough. But if you are, for me personally, and how I coach, if you are really seeking acting as a profession, and you're contemplating on if you're worthy enough, or if you can actually handle it. Always just remind yourself there's a reason why you keep going back to wanting to do this. And just trust that. Like, it will haunt you later if you hang it up on the shelf and, you know, you get discouraged because it is a lot. Just focus on being happy in the process of doing it. And again, give yourself grace. I think that's just like the best thing I can say to new actors or to people who are aspiring to be an actor, because it is a lifelong journey. Like, you should want to be in this industry for acting for now until forever. And keep doing everything else. Like, keep your day job until you sign a contract on as a series regular, and you can't do your day job. But just make that choice when the time comes. Don't fret. For parents out there of kid actors, like, don't fret having to give up your job or having to put them into homeschool if they want to do that. Don't make those decisions unless you like have to get to the point where you have to. There's no need to put that additional stress.
That anxiety of thinking, what if?
Because that just makes it it makes it easier to be discouraged on, this isn't for me. But it really can be for you. It's just like, you have to work it into your lifestyle, acting, you know, because it's a craft, it's an art, and art is meant to be fun. It's meant to keep you expanded and growthful, and you can't grow if you're always constantly stressed out and thinking about the negatives and the requirements, and you know, that's not exciting. So that's my biggest bit of advice.
Beautifully said. I love that. So will you let everyone know where they can connect with you in your studio?
Yes. So I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, 1200 Foster Street, Suite 220. So you can connect with me here. I'm here all the time. You can email me at coachedbyjonna, that's JONNA @gmail.com. If you want to reach out and inquire about which classes that you'd like to get into. I also do career coaching, so we can really start there. I can see, you know, what you have to work with, if you have anything at all. And if you don't, we can even jump on a career coaching and figure out where the path can take us. And my advice on that. So on Instagram, my handle is Jonna, Jonna, the coach. And you can find me also on Twitter. I'm working that. So Twitter as well at Jonna Naegele 1. Jonna Naegele 1.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank
this
you.
was so nice. This was really therapeutic for me.
Awesome.
In a way. Yeah,
awesome.
This is beautiful.
I love that.
Well, thank you all for tuning in to the Call Sheet Podcast. Make sure that you follow and like and subscribe and all the things. Leave a comment and make sure that you connect with Ms. Naegele. I got that right,
yes.
right? Naegele. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you all next time. Thank you.